Hey guys, hope you're all having an awesome day. So today I wanted to share a really simple trick which I've been using in random dungeons, and with this trick I've been maximizing the amount of wisps I'm getting per hour. So it will allow me to craft a lot more Inferno 5 pieces once I reach the level. So the problem with random dungeons is that you can't really choose which dungeons to farm. Let's say you only want to farm Vithu's pieces. These are the only dungeons that will drop Vithu's pieces, but you can't really control which dungeon the random dungeon finder gives you. But as you can see here, I mean, I've farmed an insane number of wisps just over the past weeks, and I've been using this trick. So I thought, why not just take time of my day and just post this video, and hopefully this helps you guys to do the same. So right now I've just started a fresh instance of a random dungeon. Right now I've rolled Temple of Nomari. Let's say I don't like Temple of Nomari. If I wanted to leave, I can press leave party and it shows a pop-up that says if I leave I'm going to have a 5-minute cooldown, which isn't really what I want because I want to spam dungeons. And if I try to leave from the minimap, it also shows the same thing. So because random dungeons have the pity drop, where if you run 7 dungeons without a green dropping, the game will automatically drop a green for you on the 7th dungeon. Random dungeons have kind of become the new way of running dungeons, and it's usually the meta. If you search for a dungeon group, they're usually spamming random dungeons, but this is the main problem. You can't run the dungeons you want, and some of the dungeons in the rotation are extremely long compared to some of the other ones, but I found a solution to this problem. This trick works best if you're in a full group of friends because you need at least one of the people in your group to be a party leader, otherwise the trick won't work. So you can see here, I've just rolled a random dungeon and we got Tristram Cathedral, which might not be the best dungeon and we don't really want to run it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick one of the players by removing them from the party. And what this does is it allows us all to leave the dungeon without getting the 5-minute cooldown. So we've just all left the dungeon here, and I'm going to invite back the player that we had, and you'll see that even he didn't get the 5-minute cooldown, and we're able to actually re-roll the random dungeon here. So we had Tristram Cathedral before, but now when everybody accepts, we're going to get a much better dungeon to run, or at least in terms of speed it's much better, and it's Forgotten Tower. So that's the trick in a nutshell, basically. I'm going to show it one more time here. So we're going to queue for a random dungeon. Let's see what dungeon we get. And we got Kikoris Rapids, which probably not the best dungeon to run. I mean, it's kind of boring while you're on the raft. I guess if you want to slack, it's probably the best dungeon. But once again, I'm going to kick one of my friends from the party and we're all going to leave from the entrance. Now, bear in mind, some dungeons don't have a door, like at the entrance, for example, Dread Reaver, and you can just leave from the minimap in those cases. But once again, I'm going to invite my friend. And you can see I press the pop-up here and it never works in a party, but I'm going to queue for the dungeon again, and you'll see that once again we got a much better dungeon, Cavern of Echoes, that is much more speedy to run, and we can get a lot more wisps per hour. So a few things to note if you're going to use this trick. Like I said, you should only use this trick in a party with friends, so you can guarantee that one of you is the party leader. And when you load up a new instance of a random dungeon, you can already see which dungeon it's going to be just from the loading screen image, and based off that you can decide if it's a dungeon that you want to play or that you want to just skip and re-roll. So if it's a dungeon that you want to skip, I'd still recommend just checking if you get the Greed Spoils event, which sometimes spawns, and that lets you skip to the boss and get a guaranteed set item. So it's still worth doing these events just for the guaranteed green. And if it's a dungeon that you want to skip and you haven't got the Greed Spoils event, then at that point you can just click the portrait of one of your friends in the party and click remove party. And once it's 3 out of 4, only then can you and the other 2 players leave the dungeon. If you leave too early before the player is kicked, then you're going to have the 5-minute cooldown and then you won't be able to queue up dungeons for the next 5 minutes. So just make sure you're patient on that. The last thing is don't overdo it with this trick. Only pick the worst 3 dungeons in the rotation to skip. Otherwise, you're going to be wasting way too much time just requeuing for dungeons and just wasting way too much time in loading screens, so it's not really worth it. So to help you guys decide which dungeons are the best to skip, I've actually noted down the clear time of every single dungeon in the game, and this is running with my group, which is about an average group, players between 1.5 and 3k resonance, but that doesn't really matter. The whole point is just to see a relative time, like the relative time between every dungeon. So I'm sure you guys can get faster times than this, but you just want to have the comparison between each of the dungeons. So it comes with no surprise that you'll have Cavern of Echoes, Mad King, and Forgotten Tower as some of the fastest dungeons to run. And then at the bottom end, you've got Tristram Cathedral, Dread Reaver, and Kikuris Rapids surprisingly coming in at one of the worst dungeons to run. I think it's because the boat kind of has a fixed time, and you can't really speed it up with killing mobs. So that's something just to note. So you can either follow the table and skip the last 3 dungeons in the table, like I've been doing, or you can decide that you want to farm based off the specific set item drops and adjust which dungeons you want to skip or run according to that. Anyway, that's all I have to say for this one. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments. Also, let me know what are some of your favorite ways to save time in dungeons. See you guys in the next one.